Greetings, everyone, and thanks for listening. You're listening to the Truth to Power show, and my name is Beverly D. And tonight we have Rene Hamilton back with us, and he is from Inner Soul Technology. He will be discussing the secrets of the mind and the illusion of cause and effect and how the mind really works. Now, Rene Hamilton is from Canada. He is a visionary, he's an inventor, and he is also a quantum psychologist. And so I'm going to bring Rene up so he can really get into this very interesting and insightful information. Rene, are you there?
I am here.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again.
Well, thank you so much for having me back on your show. I really appreciate the opportunity and had a really great time last time.
Okay. Now, you have a company called the Inner Soul Technology. Can you kind of give the listeners what your company is about?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I've developed a technology called quantum nanovortex technology, which I'll simplify how it works. It basically allows us to turn the atoms on a subatomic level of any object we want into a transmitter, almost like a radio transmitter and receiver. And what the quite interesting thing is that it's self-powered, meaning no batteries, no microchips, no electrical source or anything. So we're able to transmit information without anything powering it indefinitely. And what we've been able to do with that information is basically rearrange the way the atoms work, the molecules work, and transmit information that your brain and your body and your energy system can communicate with. So what I'm saying is, even a more simple term is, we can create a patch per se, a little sticker that you'd put on your body that has the energetic information encoded into it of, say, 200 organic fruits and vegetables. And that patch would be transmitting this information to your brain and to your energetic grid of your body indefinitely, without any batteries. And that's just one application. We actually have a product similar to that does that. And bypassing your digestive system, bypassing you having to eat these things. So we've developed a technology where we're able to sort of transmit information and energy back and forth. We make pendants that realign the subatomic atoms in your body, in your energy body, that is. And we make magnets enhanced with our quantum nanotechnology that enhance the performance of your vehicle instantaneously. It's the world's fastest way in the world to increase performance on your vehicle. We make bracelets. We make also something called a manifestation board, which amplifies your thoughts literally billions of times more powerful than they normally are, and transmits it into the realm of what we call imagination, and allows your desires to manifest very quickly, bypassing your subconscious mind and bypassing your critical thoughts. And we have many, many more products as well as I teach quantum psychology and do a lot of life coaching and counseling, and speak with scientists and engineers from around the world. And it's really exciting. It's an ancient technology that has always been around, not necessarily to the masses. However, it's been known how consciousness can be transferred through vibration and through symbols and colors and through gateways, which are some in this dimension and some in other dimensions. So it's really working on a multi-interdimensional level to achieve these things, which we are all capable of doing, yet we've been sort of dumbed down as a society to not really understand what we are and what our capabilities are. So these are the projects.
And you also have an amplifier that goes with it, and people can go on YouTube. Let them know where they can go on YouTube
certainly.
so they can see what you're talking about.
Absolutely. We just to recap what you just said, we have an amplifier that is an accessory to the advanced quantum manifestation plate that amplifies the signal even further. So, and you can stack up as many amplifiers as you want and literally have a whole room of amplifiers amplifying your thoughts into the reality much more quickly. It's kind of like everyone's seen the movie called The Secret. Well, imagine having an actual device that interfaces between what you want and the universal imagination to bring it to you in a very quick and efficient way without you having to really think about it. So it's pretty fascinating, and I continue to get feedback all the time on amazing things that are happening to people who are using the plate. My website is Inner Soul Technologies. That's INNERSOUL Technologies. That's IES, plural. And the YouTube channel, which has over 50 videos explaining different products and lectures of mine and whatnot, is youtube.com/Inner Soul Tech. That's INNERSOULTECH. And again.
Now, when you do the inner soul, it's not a T, it's INNER, it's not INNTER.
Correct. It's inner, like inside. Inner.
Okay, so
not inter. INNER.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, now let's get into the subject for tonight, which is the secrets of the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely a fascinating subject that I've spent most of my life investigating in various ways. For example, just a little summary of how I see things is that we're born into this world where there's things happening all around us. There's adults talking, there's people feeding you, there's life happening all around you. And it's almost like you were born late and you're just catching up on everything that you've missed over the past millions of years or whatever it is. So there's people who have been here before us. You would think, or at least we assume from a very young age, due to survival mechanisms, that these people who've been on the planet longer than us are more wise and know more about us and know more about survival. So we follow what they do. We mimic what they do because obviously they must know more because they've been around longer. At least that's what we assume. So throughout the years, we grow up and we watch our parents and friends, and everyone's telling us things, how things are, why things are the way they are, and telling us, furthermore, how to conduct ourselves, telling us what our limitations are, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what to say to authority figures, what authority figures are, very much defining our life for us, and also disciplining us for things that we may do that others don't approve of. So we take on these attitudes from our friends, from our family, from our, could be priests, minister, pastors, our synagogues, television, radio, music videos, movies. All these different forms of input are all giving us instructions on what to eat, how to be more healthy. Pretty much everything that you can think of, there are instructions out there for. Now, we grow up with these instructions, and allegedly, some of these instructions are instructions on how to be happy. You can see that through every commercial that you see. Everyone's, when they're trying to sell a product, everyone's always smiling, like life is so much better. Take Vioxin, and you always see the proverbial woman on the beach jumping, with her loose dress or whatever it is. Everyone's happy. Take Budweiser, everyone's partying and having a good time. And everything is portrayed to bring happiness. So we tend to seek these things which we think will bring us happiness, and just develop habits based around these socially acceptable forms of seeking happiness. Now, all these instructions, what are they for? Is there ever a point in which you have received enough instruction that you don't need instructions anymore? And that's a very important thing to think about. What are the purposes of these instructions, or social norms or customs? What is the end goal? What is the end game of that? And that's something that we're all typically seeking, is how to be whole, how to be content with yourself, how to feel secure in your being and feel at peace, feel contentment. There are quite a few things, interesting things about the mind, that when you start to understand the mind, you start to understand a little more about what it means to be content or have peace of mind and operate in this world, and what this world really is, what it consists of. Why are people the way they are, and why do things happen the way they do? Now, one of the subjects I'd like to touch upon, first and foremost, is cause and effect, and the illusion of cause and effect. And I'll get into that in just a moment. I'm going to take a quick sip of water here. Now, we've all been taught that when you do certain things happen because of that. And something called Newton's third law, also law of thermodynamics, which is every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So what that means is if I throw a basketball at a wall, my energy I threw the ball with is going to cause the ball to have hit another object and bounce back. The energy will come back to me. So we live in an ocean of events. Now, quite often I've been driving and I've seen accidents. Another car hit another car straight in front of me. And I've seen people injured, and sometimes someone's not injured. And I often think to myself, who was really the cause of that? Is the human the cause of that? Or was that cosmically ordained to happen? Was that meant to happen? Was that a coincidence? Or was that just random chaos? This is something I've toiled with for a long time. And I ran across a fellow named Isaac Bentov, Bentov. He's now passed on. I think he died in the 80s. And he explained something to me that I knew subconsciously, but couldn't really visualize it per se in a quite a concise way. And I'm going to relate some concepts to you that I think would be really important for everyone to contemplate on, and understanding, or at least having an idea of what I'm talking about, may alleviate a lot of stresses in your life in terms of why things happen to you and to others. Let's suppose that I pick up a glass of water, and let's suppose I drop the glass of water, and that glass of water breaks all over my kitchen floor, and I don't pick it up. I don't clean it up. And I invite a friend over, and I tell him, my place is being cleaned, so take your shoes off and take your socks off. And he walks on my floor and gets cut by the glass. Now, it's safe to assume, from a human perspective, that I caused that person, my friend, to cut his feet. It's logical through deductive reasoning. However, the question is, did I really cause that to happen? Now, I'm going to go through a series of events, and I would like you or some of your listeners to perhaps comment on this theory or this idea or concept. Now, first of all, what is physical matter? Well, we all know that physical matter at very small levels, like the level of the cell, level of the molecule, level of the atom, and so forth, even smaller than that, everything is moving and vibrating, okay, at a very minute level. All of life is moving, okay? So even though your kitchen wall or your tennis shoe or the pen you have in your hand doesn't appear to be moving, if you zoom in close enough, all the atoms are moving. There's a lot of evidence and facts to support that. So, what if all of movement was to stop everywhere? That means even my voice talking to you right now is sound movement vibrating through the air. So you wouldn't be able to hear any sounds. You wouldn't be even alive to even hear the sounds because all your blood would stop moving, oxygen would stop moving, your cells would stop moving. There'd be nothing. So it's safe to say that life is movement. Okay, life is movement. If there's no movement, there's no life. There's nothing to perceive life. So, speaking on that level, what causes movement? Well, vibration causes movement. Well, what causes vibration? Well, sound. The moment you introduce a sound, that causes vibration, that causes movement, which causes life. So it's safe to say that life is literally an orchestra of sounds, different sounds that we perceive as movement. And with movement, there is change, there's motion. Okay, so I'm getting to the juicy part here. And I want you to hold that idea of everything being sound in your mind. Now, if everything is sound, then what was the first movement that started all other movements? Now, I'll give you a little analogy about that. Let's just say that I wasn't born. Let's just say my mother wasn't born. If my mother wasn't born, then I would not have picked up that juice glass and dropped it in my kitchen and made my friend step on it for him to cut himself. So, is my mother the cause of that person cutting themselves? Because if I wasn't born, then that wouldn't have happened. So some could say, oh no, you did it. Well, if I wasn't born, then I couldn't have done it. So my mother is indirectly responsible for that person cutting themselves. Indirectly. Well, what if my mother's mother wasn't born? So maybe my mother's mother is the cause of that. Well, what if one of the cavemen wasn't born way back in the day? Then that experience of that person cutting themselves 200,000 years later wouldn't have happened. So where do we separate the events that cause things and don't cause things? For example, if I'm sure most people have seen television shows or documentaries of a table or a whole room full of dominoes, and someone hits the first domino and they all go down and trying to beat the Guinness Book of World Record or whatever. Well, what if you're the domino right in the very middle? Let's say there's 100 dominoes and you're domino number 50. And the domino behind you hits you, and you hit the one in front of you, and everyone goes down. you being in the middle, did you cause the domino in front of you to go down?
It doesn't seem like it. It seems like the one that was behind me that hit me caused the vibration and for me to go down.
Sure. So the one behind you caused you to go down and caused the one in front of you to go down as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what caused the one behind you to go down? The one behind it, right?
Yeah.
So we have to trace it all the way back to the beginning to find out the cause. So you going down was merely a symptom of the first event, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So think of how many circumstances in your life have led you to be to this spot, for all of us to be where we are. Now, who is the cause of us being where we are? Did we cause it, or did something else cause it? So I'm going to backtrack here. If we are just a sound in the infinite world of movement, what was the first movement or sound that caused all other movements or sounds after that? Okay? So what I'm saying is that everything that we're experiencing in our life is a ripple effect of the first movement or sound. We do not control what happens in our life, because much like a domino, we are in the middle of the wave. And everything that we think we're doing, we are not the cause of that. Because there are billions of factors that go into everything that happens, and we can't separate one factor out of a billion factors and say that one factor caused that. Like when I'm driving down the street and an old lady misjudges to taking a corner and hits a car. Did that old lady cause the car to be hit? No, because a million factors went into that lady being there at that spot, like the fact that she missed the bus the other day, and the fact that she ate tacos for dinner, but she spent 1 minute longer eating tacos than she should have, which caused a series of events, which caused another series of events, which led to her hitting that person. So where do we separate where our responsibility is versus the universal responsibility? It's almost like saying one drop of water in the ocean touches another drop of water. Did that drop of water cause the other, hit the other water? Or was it one big wave of ocean that's just moving? So I hope this is slightly making sense.
Yes, it's making sense.
Okay, so what I'm saying is there is just one idea, one movement, one sound, which started everything else after it. And everything else after it is an effect, not a cause. So what I'm saying is everything that happens in the physical dimension is an effect, not a cause. Now I will get into why that is on a deeper level. And this ideally will make sense, because I'm sure some people right now are just like, what is he talking about? Okay. So everything here in front of you, everyone is sitting at their chairs, on their couches, or whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone looks around them, they see all these objects, computers, TVs, remote controls, phones, everything. So where did these objects come from? Well, someone had to imagine these things. Someone had to say, you know what? I wonder if there's a way that I can talk to someone in another country. And someone had to sit there and devise some technology, some imagination in order to get the understanding to put together a phone and make it work. Okay? It had to start in the realm of imagination. Just like if I wanted to be the first person to make a videotape cassette recorder, I must have been sitting there one day listening to radio back in 1940s or whatever it was, 1910, and say, you know what, I want to somehow record this, what I'm hearing, and store it. How do I do that? And sought out new ways of thinking, and eventually invented the first tape recorder. Okay? So everything comes from imagination. Everything you're looking at is a product of imagination made solid. Someone had to imagine the name of the United States of America. Someone had to imagine the name of the city you're living in. Someone had to create the chair you're sitting in. Someone had to imagine all these things. So we're living in a world of imagination. So imagination precedes, which means comes before physical manifestation. So if, taking that in mind, that everything we're looking at, everything we experience, even the idea of you saying, you know what, I want to eat an apple, and then you get up off your chair and go eat an apple. What came first? You eating the apple, or you imagining you eating the apple? Obviously, you imagining you eating the apple came first. So the physical reality is a symptom of the world of imagination and the world of thought. Okay? So, that being said, a car crashes in front of you, or you trip and fall and break your arm, or your best friend wins the lottery and buys a car and gets away for whatever he does. What caused that to happen? Was it something physical? Well, it can't be, because imagination comes first. So obviously imagination made that happen. So if imagination made whatever happened happen, who's really in control? I mean, I could ask 100 people. Do you know where your thoughts come from? Do you know where they come from? Yeah, well, I thought them up. Well, how do you know you thought it up? Because I know every single person I talk to says they have thoughts that they say they don't know where they come from sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I do that? Where did that thought come from? Why do I have this song stuck in my head that I can't stop playing over and over again? So do we really know where our thoughts come? Can we see? Can we perceive that? Not everyone can. So where are these thoughts coming from? And as we know, thoughts precede physical reality. So does that mean that there's something or someone else creating our physical reality for us? Sometimes? Or all the time? That's a really important question to ask yourself, because we often do things that we don't know why we're doing them. Mm-hmm. Where are these thoughts coming from? And why are these thoughts creating our reality? Why are we not in control of these thoughts? Same reason why we're not in control of our reality. So we have to ask ourselves, what is really in control? What is in control? There's a doctor named Dr. Diamond back in the 1950s. He did a study where they opened a person's brain and put electrodes in the brain. And they measured the time it took from them to create stimuli. So, for example, they would take a pin and they would stick it very sharply in someone's knee just to stimulate the nerves. And they would time with very sophisticated equipment how long it took for the signal of them pricking the person with the pin for that signal to reach the brain. Now, I don't remember the exact amount of time, but it was, it's milliseconds or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're pricking this person and they're measuring the time. Okay. Now, what they figured out, which baffled these scientists, was they were reacting to the pinprick before the signal even hit their brain to let them know it happened. Now, how is that possible? How can I react to something that my brain hasn't even registered as even happened yet? So they did this test, thousands of times with different subjects, and the only thing they can conclude was that your brain, now this is a mind blower right here, okay? Your brain is actually, now, people really need to open their mind to this. The brain is taking the signal and sending it back in time, a split second, to make you think that it's happening at the same time you're doing it. It's creating the illusion of control. So, for example, if I pick up a glass of water and I go to drink it, you already picked up the glass of water and started drinking it before you realized that you were doing it. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that the universe is running on auto run. Not for everyone, but for us humans who are in a human state of consciousness. It's on auto run. Now, our minds, our egos, the way we've been brought up we've been taught you are in control. You make things happen. So the universe and your brain are so amazing. And the Creator, whatever it is, gave us the ability to create any reality we wanted, and it would shape our reality to our will. So over the years, we've always been told we need to control things. We need to control, how people speak on the radio, what they do with laws and taxes, and how to conduct yourself around people. And we've been all about control. So our minds are geared towards us being in control of things. So what our minds have done is, in reality, we're not in control, into true reality. So our minds have created a whole artificial system of illusion that makes us think we are in control. So when events happen, it sends the signal back in time to make us look like it's happening at the same time we're thinking it. But really, it happened before we thought it. So we were never in control. So everything right now is merely what you're experiencing is an effect of what happened on another dimension. By you picking up a glass of water and drinking it, you've already drank in it. You've already started drinking it before you realized it, because in reality, you are experiencing the effects of things, not the cause of things.
So us sitting here right now,
yes,
is really not happening at this
it's not
moment.
What's happening, but it's not happening. It's happening in the fact that there's something happening. The question is, what is happening, and why is it happening? Okay? You may think it's me, Rene, talking to you, Beverly, but I can assure you that's not what is really happening. Because we're not in control. Like, for example, if I was to walk on a busy New York street and I sharply turn a corner and I hit a person who has a big stack of papers and papers go flying everywhere, could I have avoided that? How could I have avoided that? I had no idea it was going to happen. Okay? Now, we don't know what's going to happen one moment to the next. We have no idea. We have not the slightest clue what's going to happen. We can predict it. We can imagine it. And sometimes we're right, and sometimes we're not. But we don't know. We just don't know. So it's safe to say that we just don't know. Now, this glass of water sitting in front of you, or a banana. What is a banana? What's a fruit? Well, what's a fruit? Well, it's something you eat. What does it do? Well, it gives you nourishment. But what is it? What is it composed of? What is it make? What is water? Like, really? Water is what we've been told it is. Well, it's a liquid that you drink that gives you life. Well, that doesn't explain what it is. That's just what someone told me it is. What is it? What are you? What is the chair? What is the table? What is the world? What is the universe? We don't know anything. All the average person thinks is what they've been told. So, for example, Beverly, do you know, I'm not going to ask you this specific question, but do you know how old you are?
Physically.
Okay, you physically know how old you are? Okay.
I assume.
Okay,
That's
well.
what I've been told.
Okay, but do you know it?
I'm going by what my mother told me the day I was born.
The question is, do you know how old you are?
No.
No. Okay. Well, a lot of people think they know how old they are. Do you know what your address is?
I see a number on the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the question is, it's a thinly veiled question. Is it really your address? I often ask people, where do you live? And they rattle off some number. And I say, oh, interesting. Because I live behind my eyes. And I've never left there. So I can move from one place to another, and each place I move, that's where I live. Right? Because I don't know. I don't know anything other than that. I know I exist. That I know. What I am, I'm learning. That's about it. So everything else is a concept being taught to us. And your mind will adapt to whatever concept it believes it lives in, because we have been given the unlimited ability to create our own reality, including our ideas about cause and effect, including about everything. Well, I don't believe that kids under 18 should be drinking. That's crazy. Blah, 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 blah. They can drive a car and kill people, but God forbid they pick up a beer. People have all sorts of funny ideas, all based around a whole illusionary system that they are in control. I'll tell you one thing you do have control over, and that is to be yourself or to not be yourself. Basically, when I say be yourself, I mean trust your intuition. Trust this inner knowingness. Or to choose to live in the illusion and think you know things. You can either realize you know nothing and be yourself, or think you know something and not be yourself.
So
thinking I'm a lawyer, thinking I'm this.
Is this how visionaries like yourself, psychics, can pick up things because it was before it? The way you just explained it, does that play a part in it?
Well, sure. Well, let me give you an example, okay, of the illusion of time. And whenever I say this, whenever I give this analogy, people always say, oh, that makes so much sense. Okay. Now, some people in their lives, probably 20, maybe 30% of people in the U.S. or in Canada, have been to a psychic reading. And sometimes the readings are very accurate, and they foresee things that you wonder how they did that. Well, I'll explain to you how great money do that. Now, think of reality as like a 7-layered cake. Now, don't pay attention to the number 7, but just visually. Now, we live on the very bottom, the crust, okay, the most dense part of the cheesecake or cake. Now, at the very top is like the lightest part, the whipping cream or whatever it is. That's the level of imagination. That's where we formulate the blueprint for the physical reality. Now, the closer in levels you get to the level of imagination, the closer you're perceiving things in real time. So, for example, if, just like the old lady who misguided the corner and crashed in the car in front of her, that didn't happen at that time. Now, it happened much earlier, meaning that if everything happens in the realm of imagination first, it then filters down to the physical level at a later time. So, if I could see into the realm of imagination right here, right now, I could see all sorts of events happening or already happened in real time, so to speak. Yet, I could wait 6 months for it to physically manifest because it has to filter down, so to speak.
Right.
Okay? So, on a level, certain psychics can see certain things on different levels. Okay, so the next density or level of reality up from the physical reality is called the astral reality. Astral world, astral plane. It's where many people place their attention on or visit in the dream world. It's the realm of it's the realm of emotion. It's where emotions come from, emotional power, emotional illusion. Okay? It's a real reality, just as real as this, it's much bigger, it's much more, what's the word? Fluid. Your physical body, let's say it weighs right now 150 pounds, hypothetically. On the astral world, you have an identical body made of astral material, or that body would probably weigh around 1 ounce in total compared to your 150 pounds on Earth. So your body is not really, the laws of physics don't work the same way there they do here. You're able to dematerialize and materialize other places. You're able to, information moves quicker because it's less dense. So, for example, you could have 1 month of experience on the astral plane in 1 hour in the physical comparison. So you can literally live a whole month on the astral plane and wake up from a 1 hour sleep, and only 1 hour has gone by because the information download is that much quicker. Okay. Now there's another level.
Is this astral? Is this the first layer of the cake from the crust?
It's the second layer.
7 layers.
The second layer up. Okay.
Okay. Now the crust is one, and the astral is the
physical is the bottom, the crust.
It's the bottom of the crust. Okay.
And then the second one above that, and I don't want people to not understand it properly. It's not really above. It's more superimposed on top. So it's more a less dense layer physically right there.
Okay.
Okay. There's another layer which is above that, which is called the causal plane. Causal. Okay. It's where memories are stored. It's where the seed body. It's where past lives, tendencies, personalities are stored. It's actually also called the Akashic Records. I'm sure many of you have heard of that. And
yeah.
All these information is actually stored in crystals. Okay. In the earth, deep in the layers of the earth, it's actually stored in the mineral kingdom. Crystals are like holographic recorders. They record everything. In fact, crystals are used in the production of hard drives and all sorts of things because they store memory in a holographic way. Okay, so if one is looking to access that, it's the causal plane. And when I say cause, it's because where some people are born with certain likes and dislikes and tendencies, that's because it comes from the causal plane. It's seemingly the cause of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's not correct, but you get the analogy. Next level up is called the mental plane. Mental, where we think, philosophy, mathematics, concepts, engineering, all these higher concepts are born in that mental plane. Okay? So, for example, if a psychic, you go to a psychic and you get a reading and they're like, well, you're going to be moving to a place close to water, you're going to get a new job, you're going to be very wealthy, you're going to get a new car, you're going to find your wife there, you're going to get a yellow, Ferrari. And you're like, what? This is too specific and crazy. And sure, 6 months later, you have a friend from high school who you met who has this new emerging company, and you're like, man, jump on board with me, and let's do this. And you make the leap of faith, and you go do that, and sure, you move to California by the beach, and then you got a yellow Maserati, and like 6 months later, you're like, dang, like, she was right. How did she know all that? How did she see that before it happened?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she didn't see it before it happened. It actually already happened, but she saw it more close to real time, whereas we see it later because because we're only aware of the physical realm of consciousness, which things happen on a level of imagination have to filter down. They have to gain energy and filter down. Okay, so the more there's a point of critical mass where enough energy is put into an idea or thought that the thought will manifest physically. So the more we pay attention to something, the more it feeds it, gives it energy, which makes it manifest. Okay, so the mental plane is another point, which is still a physical reality. Now, in the mental plane, you can actually see thoughts bubble above people's heads, almost like a cartoon or like a comic book. It has those little bubbles with captions in it. Same situation. So a psychic could be looking at this person and seeing all these images pop up out of their heads and say, "Oh, that's what's going to happen," or that is what happened or happening. And one might not like to have that ability to see things on the mental plane, because the average person is burdened with very terrible thoughts and depressing ideas, and it'd be a sad state of affairs to walk down a city street being able to see things on the mental plane, because it'd be literally living hell. It'd be living hell unless you were able to filter out or understand or have enough love in your heart to look past all this destruction. So,
and can you just look at? You don't have to look at the destruction part. You could just focus on other parts.
Yes, that's possible. Depending on where your heart is or where your consciousness is, you may have that ability and you may not. There are a lot of people who are in insane asylums and psych wards who've artificially, through certain types of meditation, through certain types of drugs, through black magic, through all sorts of things, have opened up that ability to see things on the mental plane or emotional plane or the astral plane or causal, who don't understand what they're seeing. They can't comprehend it. They're out of balance. They're just totally screwed. And a great majority is that. And it's very important to not want to achieve these psychic abilities before you're ready.
Right.
Because you will get overwhelmed. It'd be like you growing up in Iceland your whole life in a little town and suddenly being dropped by a helicopter in the middle of China in a town. You wouldn't know how to speak. You'd be just screwed. Right? It'd be like being dropped in the middle of the ocean without knowing how to swim. So, that being said, the level of the mental plane is very close to the level of imagination. So it's more accurate. When you reach a psychic or someone who's spiritually aware enough on the mental plane, your reading is going to be very accurate compared to someone who's picking it up from the astral plane. Now there are 49 different subplanes within each plane. So within the astral plane, there's 7 subplanes, and there's 7 subplanes of those subplanes. Okay.
Wow.
Now there's something called the lower astral planes, and these are what you would term as the biblical hell, like literally, like torture, being tortured over and over again for eternity sort of situation. And it's not really for eternity; it's for however long you keep your mind on these low ideas. Because the moment you accept truth into your life, it will take you out of that. Okay, so it's where we are consciously is where we have accepted ourselves to be. And we're never given more than we cannot handle. So if we're constantly ravaged by, boyfriends beating us up, or if we always attract the same type of person or same crazy people in our lives, well, that's a symbol of our consciousness. So basically, the outer world we're looking at is an exact duplicate of our inner consciousness. Now, it's much like the internet. This whole world is much like the internet. The internet's not real per se. It's digital. It's bunch of ones and zeros. But when you look at it, yeah, you can surf web pages, you can go do all these things. It's a whole other reality. Now, we have to realize we are not the computer, we're not the mouse, we're not our internet character. That's just an interface for the world of the internet. So our physical body is an interface for the physical world, but we're not the physical body. Our astral body is an interface for the astral world, but we're not the astral body. Much like our mental body is not, we're not the mental body, it's just an interface for the mental world. Now we're above that. We're in the world of soul, which is above form, per se, in terms of duality. What I mean by duality is I mean there's something that's singular, which is one thing, and there's something which is more than one thing, which is multiples. There is a state of consciousness, a being that you can enter that is comprised of one thing, one living being called the entire galactic universe of consciousness. Now that's where you reside. That's the level of imagination. Okay, there are different levels of imagination, but let's just say that's the main level of imagination. Now, that's where our higher self, our oversoul, says, I'm going to give this character, Rene, the idea of making an advanced manifestation plate. And then one day, here I am sitting there, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to make a device which is, I'm going to allow people to, manifest this and this and this. And, where did that thought come from? Well, there are technologies in place by secret societies and, shadow governments and different extraterrestrials and whatever, interdimensional beings. They can input thoughts into your head, into your mind, and you think it's your own.
Right.
So that's where people do things and they don't know why they do them. They do them for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a program running in their head. Or number two is artificially inputted there to begin with. And by knowing who you are, you can use discernment and distinguish where your thoughts are coming from. So you can be in control of your life or manifestations versus some unknown habitual force or just a spontaneous idea that really didn't come from you. So knowing, the difference between what you are and what you're not is really important. Now, are we our emotions? No. I want to make a quick comment on this. I'm sure many listeners have been inundated in Facebook and elsewhere by this Coney 2012 issue.
Yes.
Have you heard of that, Beverly?
Yes.
Okay. And you go and you watch this 12-minute video, and it shows child soldiers and people building this community and whatnot, and pay $30 and get this kit and put posters everywhere. I have a lot of people just inundating me with this and becoming so angry, and I can't believe this going on, and spreading this video everywhere and whatnot, which is very interesting. I look at it a lot different than what is being presented in the video. Now, if I was to be guided by my emotions, I would be upset. I would be inspired to help this movement out.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not necessarily guided by emotions. I look at the information first. Okay? So
right.
I did the video, and I look at the information being presented. And it was fascinating. And this is not against the movement. I'm just giving my opinion of human psychology.
Mm-hmm.
They admitted in the video Uganda is no longer in danger and that we ought to put this poster everywhere because the U.S. troops that are already there might hypothetically pull out if they don't think the world is interested. So we should show the world we're interested and hypothetically keep them there to look for someone who allegedly has already died 5 years ago, and some people say he's not even there to begin with. So I'm going to, okay, not only that, if you look in the video, you'll see like 4 or 5 times, you'll see the rings of Saturn flashing throughout the video. Okay? Like a quick 2 seconds. Well, I urge you, all listeners, to go to Google and write this down right now and type in Cult of Saturn. Cult of Saturn. Okay? And see what comes up. And see who is running things and why they're doing what they're doing. Because the people who run things and who are in charge, they like to tell people and show off who they are. So by them putting the rings of Saturn in there was an obvious sign of who is behind that video and what they're doing. Okay, so I have people freaking out and their kids are mind controlled over this video because it played on people's emotions. Okay? Kids, now, since when are kids more important than adults, than a 30-year-old? Why is it always about the kids? Why is it that they want to put microchips in kids to protect them from being kidnapped and they can find their kids now? And everything is done in the name of kids because people are run by their emotions. Once you are run by your emotions, you can't think properly because you're just running on raw feelings. That's what 9/11, one of the things of 9/11 was about to destabilize the emotional state of the world. So they create this gigantic horror on TV, which is embedded into your brains. And I know it's embedded into everyone's brains because every single person on Earth who heard about this knows exactly where they were and what they were doing when this happened. Even 50 years later, they'll know. But try to remember what you did the day before or day after or a week after. You can't. You don't know what you did a week after that. So it imprints your brain with a trauma.
Yes.
So what we're looking at was a massive psychological operation upon the planet on many levels. And same with this Coney video. It's a psychological operation to see if uninformed people will just get up off their asses and go put up posters for something they know nothing about because, a little kid, his face was hacked 15 years ago on a video. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the whole thing is crazy.
But it's amazing, too. I had family members that just went berserk.
Yep.
And you're like, come on now. I had to tell them, wait a minute, go investigate it first before you just go all off the chart.
Yep. It's a typical emotional psychological operation. First you show images of joy, of upliftness, of human triumph, and then you bring them down from their high and give them the dark, deep images and say, we need to prevent this from happening. And it's just an emotional roller coaster. And, and the people admit it. Uganda is not in danger anymore. Right in the video, they're telling you. Right in the video, they're not in danger anymore, but still donate money to get some guy to power. The question is this. Who is empowering Coney? You think Coney's all by himself, some guy in the jungle all by himself just doing all this, all with no money, nothing? I mean, come on. Right. Obviously, there's governments, there's big money, people who are keeping him in power for a reason. And the Coney, the people who support the Sudanese president who supports Coney is, part of a CIA asset. They're like one step away from the CIA. Do you think the CIA, the Coney people are going to go to George Bush, Condoleezza Rice, Harper of Canada, and ask them for help when look at who these people are and the millions of people they were responsible for, dying in Iraq and Syria and Libya and bombing Hiroshima and everything. I mean, why would you go to war criminals and ask them for help to find a lesser war criminal? They could kill it. It's laughable. So anyway, the whole point is people not researching things, operating purely off emotion. Now, a lot of these world leaders and black magicians and people who are, secret societies, they actually operate on the astral level, and they actually create events on the other worlds that precipitate down onto the physical world. So the whole 9/11 event never really happened here. It didn't happen physically. It happened in the realm of imagination and the mental realm, which they are adept black magicians, sorcerers, who created the event on the higher dimensions and merely waited for it to filter down. That's why it was written about in 1930-something. Something huge was going to happen September 11th, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
This was written about in the 30s. Why? Because it already happened. How do they know? Because it already happened. Our brains are just not equipped to perceive things on a higher level because we've been taught differently. We've been taught to not access our higher mind. We've been taught to just look at things physically, because things physically are the cause. Wrong. They're the effect. We've been looking in the wrong place. We've been given a system of reality that is completely opposite of what it really is. And we're so confused, and we're always looking for happiness. Why? Because we're looking to the physical realm for the solution. But nothing on the physical realm causes anything, so why would we even look there? It's preposterous. It's completely up. So, that being said, the realm of imagination is where the action is. Physical reality, that's nothing. That's like chump change. That's like the shadow on the wall. Why would I dance with the shadow on the wall when I can dance with the real thing, with a real person?
Right.
Real person being the realm of imagination. Why would I even concern myself with the physical reality if the physical reality has no power in itself? It's nothing. It's a symptom. It's a symptom of your thought, of your imagination. There's nothing you can do that'll make you happy here. Nothing. I don't care what meditation you do, anything you do, what yoga you do, I don't care. Nothing is going to change unless you change your imagination. It doesn't even matter what you eat. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It's hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what causes things to happen? Now, considering everything's on auto run on the physical dimension, how do we make changes? How do we manifest things? How do we get things to work? Well, everything that you do, think, and feel comes back to you. In terms of the realm of imagination, I'm going to think about being the most balanced, healthy, happy person I want to be. And I'm going to operate that way and pretend I'm that for 2 weeks and see what happens. Okay? Now, based on you being more of what you are, which is unlimitedness, unlimited joy, unlimited potential, you will attract certain circumstances and people to you that represent that. Okay? In your physical reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I wouldn't say you have control over who you meet or how it happens, but you attract that which you resonate with. So by you wearing this coney bracelet and putting your attention there, what are you attracting? Death, disease, martyrdom, murder. You're putting your attention on that which you're trying to avoid. Okay? Now, a lot of people, celebrities in Hollywood, a lot of famous people are, for whatever reason, under mind control, and some are not even who you think they are. Some are to actually have extraterrestrial beings operating the body.
Yes.
And by us...
And in politics, too, not just Hollywood.
It's crazy. I have a video that I can email you that is of a British politician speaking, and this cameraman is interviewing him. And he asked him like seven different questions, and this politician gave him the exact same sentence over and over and over again without even blinking. His face didn't move. He wasn't human. It was a again, this is going to sound weird, but there are actually androids, human-looking androids, biological, but have no soul, operating on Earth. and they're making it, and they can make one in like 3 days of anyone. They can clone anyone 3 days, allegedly. I can't confirm that.
Right.
The point being is, a lot of these celebrities are under mind control and under spells, and some are not even who you think they are. Now, by us idling them, looking to them, being fascinated by them, we are putting our attention there. We are connecting our minds to their minds. And by doing that, we're resonating at the same level as they are. And if they're under mind control, then what do you think is happening to you? You are becoming more susceptible, or literally becoming under mind control. You're literally put under a spell that they're under. Okay? It's very important to not idolize anyone, ever, because you don't know what state of consciousness they're at. You know, appreciating someone, admiring someone for what they are, for whom they are in terms of quality of being, I don't condone that whatsoever. But because someone, you know, has a nice body and a cute face and is singing on the radio, and I'm going to speak out over that, I mean, give me a break. I mean, this is crazy. So, where you
now, what is going on if you just run across a person, y'all just meet, and it's just all kind of feelings? You don't know this person from nobody, and just well, what is going on with that? And, I mean, you just get this, I know how they say love at first sight. What is going on with that?
Well, there are, in the realm of illusion, meaning the realm of material life, which includes past and future lives. Now, past and future lives don't really exist because you are really above time. But in the world of materialism, there is that illusion. Okay, so let's say you meet someone, you know, at a new job, and you just meet and their eyes lock, and that's it. You just know that you need to see this person or be with them or whatever. Well, you know, there are many factors to that. There are people who can put you under a spell by bringing up all sorts of emotions and whatnot, because they're operating on the astral plane actively, and they can actively manipulate your chakras and bring about feelings and emotions within you. There are people, okay, that's a fact. There's technology that can also do the same thing by satellite. There are also interdimensional extraterrestrial beings who can put a person into your life and make you feel certain things. Then there's also the soul connection, which your souls are within the realm of divinity are connected, and there's a lot of things to fulfill in a very positive way. And there's karmic past lives where there's emotions that have been unresolved that need to be resolved in order to move on to a higher level of happiness. There's what happened, what is happening, I don't know. But one thing I do know is that in either one of those circumstances, your consciousness, your higher self, has put you into that spot and created that person for you to learn a lesson. Whether it be positive from your perspective or negative, it's there for you to learn a lesson. There's no randomness ever. Every single molecule that you experience, whether it be stepping on a piece of gum and it being stuck underneath your shoe for a week, or winning the lottery, that's every single atom of that experience is custom tailored for you by your higher self in one way or another. You know, this world is a stage. It's a playground for soul to get to know itself. And there's these negative and positive forces, which are equally as valuable as the other. I mean, the dark forces on Earth are equally as valuable as the angelic forces. There's you cannot favor one more than the other. You cannot, because they're both teaching you. They're both sides of the same coin. And for a lot of people who are in this in the light worker so-called movement or spiritually inclined or whatever, and they're out there declaring themselves light workers, you may want to think twice about that, because if you're not a light and dark worker, both, balanced in the middle, that's where you ought to be. Because if you don't know the dark, if you haven't explored the dark, and I don't mean indulge in it, I mean understand the value of the dark, then you're missing the most important point, which is to be balanced and to understand and work with all information, positive and negative, and come to a balance point within that. And, there's a lot to be said about dark energy and what it can teach you. And if your heart is in the right place, there's nothing to be concerned about in terms of you perishing or getting sucked to the dark side or whatever. And sometimes you may get sucked to the dark side for a month, for a week, for a year. But when you snap out of that, you'll have learned something that many people don't learn because they're too afraid to deal with their own dark shadow self. And all these things we see on the outside are reflections of our own inner self. So it's all part of you. The dark, the light, the gray, the whatever, it's all you.
Because we come out of darkness when we come out the womb.
Absolutely. It's a black hole.
That's right.
That's right. It's interesting. There's, even the term 666, some people say is the mark of the beast, the materialistic mark, the mark of devil or whatever, and that's one aspect of you could say darkness. Some people say 666 stands for the molecular code for melanin, which is pure black, which is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. And the reason why, and that's the key to life. Now, if the powers that be don't want people to know about the key to life, what are they going to do? They're going to demonize it and make it seem like it's the evil. So, so people are all scared of 666 when actually you can use that code and understand the importance of, melanin. I won't get into that in detail. I'm sure someone will discuss that on your show at a later date. And start to understand the nature of the dark side. And I don't mean destructive dark side in terms of hurting people. I mean what the function of the dark side is. Why do people get hurt? Why are there plane crashes? Why do people scam millions of people or do these things? Well, dark side is there to teach you about yourself. If I was to step on a rusty nail, and I hurt my foot, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to, immediately pull it out, go get some antiseptic on that, get some hydrogen peroxide, whatever, something to, get the bacteria out of there, patch it up, maybe go to a doctor, and address that issue. I'm going to address it immediately. However, it's so funny when people get emotionally hurt or mentally hurt, they just, most times, just avoid it. It'll just go away. It'll just heal itself over time. Well, if you're experiencing pain, it's there to get your attention. Okay? So why would I fix my arm being bleeding, but ignore an emotional scar that traumatized me and hoping it'll just go away? That'd be equivalent to me stepping on a rusty nail and just leaving it bleeding and leaving it get worse and worse and not just, it'll just heal itself over time. No, I don't think so. It'll just get worse. I'll get gangrene and I'll have to cut my leg off. So, people are... Go ahead.
Now, Rene, we need to, so what you're saying is that we need to get into the imagination.
Yes. Absolutely. There is nothing else.
Now, some people might say, okay, but how do we get into the imagination?
Well, ask a child how it got into its imagination. It just is. If you want to ask a kid to play, pretend to be Superman, what does he do? He sticks his arms out and he gets a bathroom towel and with the clothespin, puts it around his neck and starts running around the house thinking he's Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It just is. So when I ask you to imagine your life in a completely different way, or, hey, Beverly, come to Mars with me tonight.
Mm-hmm.
First thing you'd say would be like, what? What do you mean go to Mars? How? What do you mean? Take a spaceship? What?
Or I just might say, okay, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. But I can tell you right now, I had a friend of mine 5 years ago. We were sitting down, and he's like, Rene, okay, I'm going to go to the sun right now, and I want you to see something on the sun with me. And he's like, okay, you ready? And we were not on the phone. We were in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not ready? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, just come to the sun with me. I'm like, what? What do you mean just go to the sun with you? Like, what? And I just couldn't understand what he was talking. I knew he was trying to say something to me, but I didn't comprehend. He's like, just do it. Just do it. I'm the type of person who I pay attention to what people say, and I contemplate on things. And after about a week of contemplating on what he had said to me, I got it. I understood what he was saying. And he didn't come out directly and just tell me what he was doing or anything. In fact, he's never mentioned it to this date again. But I understood. And if your imagination is the source of creation, why would I need anything else other than that to do whatever I want to do?
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about the advanced quantum matrix manifestation plate, that's what we're tapping into, is the realm of imagination directly, and applying energy to that thought form at an extreme level. The more you place your attention on something, the more energy it accumulates, and the quicker it'll manifest. Okay?
So when you look to technology, that won't take away from you're able to do it yourself. It will enhance it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, your mind, your brain, your pineal gland, your pituitary gland, all these hormones in your brain, these are all tools, they're all interfaces for you to be here on these material worlds, and they're like muscles. I mean, if you stop working out, and don't move your leg for a few months, your leg is going to start to degrade. Your brain, your mind, your imagination is a muscle and needs to be continually stimulated. People when people tell me they're bored on Facebook, oh, I'm so bored. Like, what? How could you be bored? I could think of a million things to do right now. Boredom is a state of complacency. It's a spiritual stagnation.
So when you tell people that this is, this is the time where you need to tap into that creativity, you tapping into that imagination.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When I was really young, my imagination was so strong that I literally lived 80% in the worlds of imagination and about 20% in the physical world. It was that strong. And I remember around the age of 10, something happened. Within a 1 week period, I remember waking up in a world of just, I don't know, my imagination just stopped or something. It was really weird. I remember coming out of that loving kid life, amazing state into this cold world of just chaos in about 1 week. And it was a night. I was literally now in a living nightmare. I remember that week. I remember it. I awoke to the nightmare of the physical human consciousness. It was a nightmare, and ever since that point, I've been trying to figure out how I got here, how my mind came from that amazing, connected to nature, to cosmos. I was in heaven when I was a little kid. There's no other way to explain it. But I came out of it at around age 10, and I remember that. So, this being said, when we drive on the streets and we see billboards, or on TV we see commercials or people are phoning you or telemarketers trying to pitch you something. Everyone is trying to get your attention. Everywhere. Everybody, look, there's something for you to place your attention on.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Because wherever you place your attention, your energy goes. So everyone wants your energy. So they're gonna pitch you a new product to tell you that product will give you the best this and that, and take this or work out and you'll look like this to get this and that. Everyone, all the politicians, billboards, TV, newspapers, magazines, everyone wants your energy. I don't care where you place your energy is very important. You can place it on at the casino. You could go to a peep show shop. You could sit there and read the newspaper. You could spend all your time on Facebook. Where do you put your energy? Where do you put your life force? Are you putting it into creating or manifesting the life that you want? Or are you just letting it rot on prefabricated systems of reality that are sucking your life force without you even knowing it?
That is so good. I mean, you just made it so understandable. Now, if you want to talk to Rene Hamilton, you can call 347-215-8041 and push 1. That's 347-215-8041 and push 1, and you can talk to Rene Hamilton. Rene, are you still there?
I am.
Tell them again how they can reach you and give them your website.
Sure. The website is I'm going to sip of water here quickly.
Okay. You spilled your water?
Pardon me?
You say you spilled your water?
No, I'm going to get.
Okay.
Take a sip of water.
Okay.
Yeah, the website is Inner Soul Technologies. That's INNERSOULTECHNOLOGIS. InnerSoulTechnologies.com. And my YouTube channel is youtube.com/InnerSoulTech. INNERSOULTECH.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay? I'm going to open up a line. I see some people here wants to talk to you.
Certainly.
I'm going to go to area code 313-345.
Yes.
Greetings.
Yes, good evening. Good evening. Is it Mr. Rene Hamilton?
Hi.
Yes.
Yes, fine, sir. You have touched upon some very profound subject, and I have one question for a purpose of clarification.
Certainly.
Am I correct in understanding that you have, I'll say, for want of a better word, a device to help you to help you with your greater mind or consciousness?
Absolutely. I have many devices. The device I was referring to was called the Advanced Quantum Matrix Manifestation Plate. And at a first glance, it kind of looks like a game board without some knobs and dials. However, there's a certain way to use that which taps into your super subconscious and amplifies your thoughts into the realm of imagination very rapidly. And we also have accessories that boost it even further. Certain pendants you wear, certain amplifier plates, and it's pretty amazing technology. We also have about, I believe, 10 or so experiences that people have recorded for me, and that I've interviewed them on the YouTube channel, also on our website, just underneath where the manifestation plate is being offered. Well.
Okay. Now, all right, I'm going to come back to just a couple statements. You know, you mentioned about the youth when you're youthful, how your curiosity and your imagination just soars until you get dumbed down by the brutalities of society.
Yes.
Okay. Well, not my thought or saying, but I've read or heard people say that the younger you are, the closer you are to the Creator, and the older you become, the closer you become to Him, or it, the Creator. And I think it's imagination has been a word that I think and has really comes from more ancient and primitive societies. Is that I think it was Einstein that said imagination is more important than knowledge.
Absolutely.
Because in other words, you have to have a thought or ideation to begin something, and that's where the creative force comes from. And you mentioned the chakras. Just the little I know of it is that you have your lower chakras up to the heart to the mind, and so forth. But actually, it's the brain. If the brain is functioning properly, it then goes to the heart, and then your hands begin the work of accomplishing that which is good. However, but we don't live in a society that promotes nor does it suggest that you can do it. There are ways that you can access higher levels of consciousness that will keep you on a higher plane to avoid the more baseness of humanity and what the world, I'll say merchants of the darkness that want to pervade you in totality.
Yes.
And it's just like you have to have the good and the evil. Neither is neither good nor bad by itself, because if you didn't know what was cold, you wouldn't know what was hot.
Exactly.
And so now coming back to your device. It's just this is just a thought. I don't know anything about it, but the possibility, nevertheless, at least in my mind, does exist. That just as you can, through your device or your technology, a person's higher consciousness can be affected by that. Well, my thought would be, since we all have the potential to do that, once we begin to learn certain things that we can do, how am I to have confidence that you are on the bright side or the right side with that technology? In terms of keeping me functioning, because there's so many. Just to make a point, probably 50, 60 years ago, a person named Vance Packard wrote Hidden Persuaders.
Yes.
And that's been modified and made more sophisticated and efficient over the last 50 or 60 years. That once you begin to understand it, it's really astounding, and it can be frightening to one. So, in other words, how do I know that your device is not a hidden persuader?
Well, I'm going to answer that in a twofold.
And I ask you that respectfully.
Obviously, I'm going to answer that in a twofold way, two-part answer. Number one is, you know, or you don't know, according to the state of consciousness in which you are at, in terms of how in tune you are with your higher self, or not. I cannot offer proof, because proof does not exist. Only evidence exists. And evidence is, for you, would be your own intuition, your own understanding, how well you resonate with truth within yourself. And in terms of me being on the bright side or dark side, I'm both. I'm dark, I'm light, I'm everything, I'm whatever you choose to extract from me.
Yes. Okay, I won't keep you, but I've enjoyed hearing you and listening to you this evening. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clyde. Okay, we have another caller, 586-265.
Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
Hello.
Okay. Renee.
Hi.
I find you so ultimately knowledgeable, and you critique my creativity. But I have a question.
Certainly.
Now, since they have these devices out, where I think it was from Japan or China, where they have this thing and it zaps you and it can make you have a stroke or seizures or whatever, right?
Can you repeat that? Someone in Japan has a device and a vacuum that makes you have a...
It's either Japan or China. If you go on YouTube to Undercover Alien, his channel, he shows this device where it's like you know how the police had a radar thing where they can track your speed? Well, they have a device where they can aim it at your head and the red light comes on, and it makes people have strokes or seizures. It messes with your head and your thoughts. You be talking like da-da, or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that recently.
Yeah, so that's really intriguing. Now, do your device help protect
Well, I can't say that particularly because the principle on which my device is working on may be a different principle upon which their device is working on. I know that if you even go look at Dr. Fred Bell, I think his website is called Pyridine.com. I forget what it is. He's developed physical technology like electronics that blocks certain types of microwave weapons, and these microwave weapons, 1 millimeter waves can penetrate your brain or your mind and actually input thoughts into your head or create stuttering or make your mind all confused. I'm sure you've seen YouTube channels of people who've been newscasters who've been talking, and all of a sudden they start talking gibberish because they're being attacked with these microwave weapons. So I can't say that. I can say that you can use the device to create a state of consciousness within yourself that's no longer a concern or fear of yours, and therefore most likely not attract that to begin with.
Yeah. Okay, I was thinking, you know how the Atlantics, people of the Atlantis back in the day, how they use certain materials, I'm not going to say because somebody's stealing my idea, certain materials to help protect themselves for certain things, so I'm more geared in that area.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, now one more question. Since they're worshiping Saturn, and I was just reading what you was talking about and everything. Now, what is the true God, that we're supposed to represent? To me, he's everything, and I don't put him into certain things. But since they like Saturn, and then we do know the certain aliens that came from Mars and certain things, so it's really we should be worshiping the one whole God that made everything instead of a particular one that came from a certain planet.
Well,
entities from each planet, I should say.
Well, it depends. When you say should, that's a form of mind control. So I wouldn't suggest anyone.
I should say what's another word?
It's
that's a negative word.
No, put it this way, my friend. Certain beings, or people, if you want to call them, are put on this earth specifically to worship false idols or the god of Saturn or Lucifer or whoever. That's their mission in life, and that's the Creator's mission for them. So individually, we all have allegedly a choice on who and what we want to believe or operate off of intuition. So in terms of gods, I know there are many gods. I know there's only one ultimate prime source creator. So that's my feedback.
Okay, so that's how I view God, like you said, is the whole, the one that's over everything.
The one, yeah.
Because, when you look at each society, like you were saying, Saturn, and I was looking and checking everything out, that goes back to the Egyptian days, to the Babylon days, and it's like a recycle of everything. But, with the new technology, they're more advanced to certain things. But it still goes back to, it's funny. It's really intriguing, but it's funny at the same time.
Yeah.
How they use certain energies. So just use their own energies back on them.
Yep.
Okay, so like I said, thank you, and I really learned a lot from you, and I really want you to know we appreciate you out here. And Beverly, thank you for getting this information to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
Appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, and Rene, tell the people again where they can get your information. And so I see some people are kind of cautious about your technology.
Yeah, well, it's
so
they have a right to be, considering all the illusion, all the sinister plots that are out there. I mean, how does one know? Just like the fellow said, and I've purchased products from other people, and I later found out that there were some sinister intents and energy behind it, and fortunately I have, people in my life and my higher self guiding me to people who could inform me of that and make me aware of the integrity of the objects that I come into contact with. So it ultimately, we cannot depend upon any outer source for confirmation of integrity. It has to come from within.
Right. And I have to say that I am using one of your devices, and I'm seeing, I can't say 100% yet because it hasn't fully manifest, but I definitely see some changes going on.
Which device is that, may I ask?
The one with the knobs and the
advanced
quantum.
Yeah, the advanced quantum matrix manifestation plate. That's the one that we've been talking about.
Yes. Yeah, and so I can say that I definitely see some things developing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Once again, the website is www.innersoultechnologies.com, and the YouTube channel is youtube.com/innersoultech. And there's a few lectures on there of mine, and a bunch of 3D animation videos explaining some of the products, and people giving their feedback on the products, and people who are trying them, and sort of live trials and whatnot. So there's a lot there to look at.
Now, before I let you go, I want to know: did we ever, or do we know? We talked about this information, the power, about the mind, about the information. Do we know ultimately where it comes from? Like you gave the example of the domino.
Yeah.
Do we know where that
power comes from? Where the source, the first thing?
Yeah.
Well, that's the awakening of consciousness, of the individual consciousness, which is a microcosm of the awakening of the big consciousness, per se, the source consciousness. That the moment of life, the moment of the first breath of a child, per se, that's coming out of the womb, or the birth of a new cell, or birth of a new atom. It's that spark of life. It's the spark of divine creativity that allows us to experience anything we want to at all times, based on how we unlimit our imagination or limit it, where we place our attention. Another secret is that everything that you can think of or imagine already exists. It's done. It's already existing. However, where you place your attention upon this unlimited creation determines what we manifest. What we manifest is not us manifesting. It's where we're placing our attention upon the unlimited, already manifested creation. That's another hard one to wrap around.
So it's like we are in a ocean of all kind of information, all kind of energy. And it's where we take our imagination, and it's where we focus at in this ocean of information, energy.
Yes, and then that becomes our experience for that moment. Now, there is a way, and this is very difficult for some people to comprehend, that you can place your attention or expand your attention beyond your physical body. Meaning, for example, I could walk down a city block, down your street, and actually feel and experience the whole city block, meaning all the people in it, all the food, all the dirt on the ground, all the worms in the ground underneath the concrete, the trees, the air, everything. You could literally be all that. You could be the life of that whole city block. You're no longer one person. You're the whole city block. You're even the molecules of the concrete in the buildings. Now imagine that. Imagine having a mind or an experience of being able to experience all that. Now, a city block that's a lot of data. It's a lot of information coming into your mind. How about a whole country? How about a whole planet? How about a whole solar system? Or, universal solar system. I mean, this is the consciousness that we have. We can expand it or shrink it to any size we want, anytime we want. It's that staggering. It's that staggering that we are literally unlimited beings with unlimited potential, and we think we're think we're these humans, these pitiful humans struggling to make the $2,000 a month for rent, and working 9 to 5, and being troubled by little pet peeves. I mean, it's comical. It's so comical how amazing we are and how little we think of ourselves. It's inconceivable. It really is. And I just want to pass that little side note. I do offer life coaching and consultation on my website. Some people read that and they think they want a psychic reading from me or something, but I'm not about to give any psychic readings to anyone unless the universe specifically tells me to, or I feel it's right to, which is very slim. However, if people want to have deep conversations with me and for me to give them tips and pointers on how to expand their consciousness and take themselves to a new level, I'm totally available for personal consultations on that. And tailored one-on-one, right? And learning these secrets to unlocking the mind and using this universal logic to unlock this unlimited potential that we have. And it's amazing. It's like a brand new world. It's like you have to forget everything that you knew, because everything you knew is just an illusion. And now we can get on with the real deal, the real stuff that really matters, right?
Now, some people are listening and they are not on the computer. They're listening through the telephone. Is there a number that they can contact you?
Yeah, certainly. They can contact me at 780-914-3551.
So it's 780.
Yeah, 780-914-3551.
Okay.